it's okay.
Oh.
Now you are.
Yeah, now, okay, good. Perfect.
Wow.
Don't worry, I can.
Perfect.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yep.
Are we good?
Here we
Yeah.
are. Here we are for episode 7. That was a good intro.
Oh, 7's my favorite number.
Ooh, well, that's why you have
That's
it,
why we're
right?
7.
Yes.
Lucky number 11. Here again, we have myself. We have
John.
we have,
Moshe Jacobson.
and then
Marisa Skolky.
who is our guest today. Happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's not like we're doing a double header or anything and pretending
No.
it's a new episode. It is. It is.
We just
like
wear
to-
the same clothes every day.
Yeah, we do this. It's fine. This is episode 7. So let's just jump into the video, and then we'll talk about stuff. Does that sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
The one thing that seems secure is a truth that is hard to hear in the context of a dominator culture with an obsession with the material world. And that truth is that nothing lasts. Nothing lasts. You know, your enemies will fade, your friends will fade, your fortune, your poverty, your disappointments, your dreams, everything is in the process of changing into something else. So your agony is about to be assuaged. On the other hand, your happiness is about to be destroyed. So the obligation that comes out of this realization is an obligation to the immediate moment, to this thing that I've been calling the felt moment of immediate experience. It isn't who you were or what you were or who you will be or what you will be. It's the felt moment of immediate experience. And this has been robbed from us by media and by our tendency to denigrate ourselves, to see the world in terms of the great ones, not here, whoever they are, Aristotle, Madonna, Jesus, whatever your particular bent is. The overcoming of neurosis, of unhappiness, of toxic lifestyles is the felt presence of immediate experience in the body, in the moment. And, you know, psychedelics, sexuality, gastronomy, sport, dance, these are the things which put you in the felt presence of the moment. And that's really all you ever possess. Your memories are eroding away. The futures you anticipate will mostly not come to pass. And the real richness is in the moment. And it's not necessarily some kind of be here now, feel good thing, because it doesn't always feel good, but it always feels. It is a domain of feeling. It's primary. Language is not primary. Ideology is not primary. The propagation of future and past vectors is not primary. What's primary is the felt presence of experience, and that is the source of love.
Like I said, these videos always kind of get me a little bit. So we're here in the felt moment. Life's too short to not be here, you know? It's all we really do have is right now. As convincing as our thoughts may be about the past or the present, all the human body can experience is now. So we should be here in the now. And we're here in the now having a conversation with
Marisa Skolky.
And how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I think we're all good.
Great.
We're happy to be here. So at one point in your life, you know, I guess you started to, I don't know your life, but you started to wonder or question who you were maybe, and like we just want to talk about that journey and what it's been like for you, and how you've kind of discovered yourself and how you've come in to be in this moment right now and be who you are and live your truth. So
Wow, I don't even know where to start, but
Right.
I will tell you that I grew up also in a Jewish household, and it's kind of the main themes, and I think ancestrally and even in our DNA, is this shame and guilt kind of dynamic. And I had a very emotionally unstable mother, and very toxic childhood. And I don't really like to tell that story anymore because I literally have changed my entire family dynamic and my relationship with my parents just by changing myself. And I literally, I know that if I can do that and transform my entire family, that anyone is anything's possible. And because of the toxic upbringing that I had, and I'm a perfectionist, I'm a, I never know, like, am I enough? Am I doing enough? And I'm kind of like an all or nothing, like, type of person. So when I do something, I do it, balance for me is really my journey. And I'm also an empath. I'm intuitively, I've got lots of intense gifts, artistically, musically. I play guitar, I sing, I write.
Yeah.
But mainly what has gotten me through my life has been laughter and humor and lightheartedness. And so I've gone through my dark nights of the soul. For me, my journey has been my understanding of bulimia, which is an eating disorder where you're binging on foods, mainly like carbs and sugars, and then you throw it up afterwards. And now there's also different types of bulimia, exercise, you're exercising too much or taking laxatives or something like that. But for me, growing up, my parents were very fluctuated, like obese too, and they're very judgmental of me, and I was overweight as a child and just trying to fit in and whatnot. I just developed this perfectionist, like, type of mentality, and caused me to have the, struggle with this eating disorder. And so, I used to just try to get rid of it, like, what's wrong with me? And that has actually been my greatest gift, because it has led me, and I'm 30 years old, and it's led me to this incredible place of consciousness where I've literally tried, like, every modality there out there. And now I'm so passionate and obsessed with personal growth. And I know that my mission here on this earth at this time is as a force of positive change, empowering other people using my artistic gifts and my ability to connect very, very deeply with people, because I'm very much empathic, and I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki Master. And my passion is connecting with people and allowing people to feel comfortable and safe to share their authentic self with me. But that also first, for me has to be, I have to allow myself to share my stories and the parts of myself that I'm, not necessarily proud of. But yeah, it's a continuous journey for me, and to allow myself to not be perfect,
Right.
And to know, am I doing enough? Am I enough? I mean, I've tried, I've done tuning forks, I've done breath work, I've done Sufi meditation.
Yeah.
I've done literally, like, I've got bazillion crystals in my house, and I've got, I've got a brain tap that uses binaural beats and light and sound frequencies to synchronize your brain, and you hook it up with a hypnosis track, and you could do whatever you want, improve your golf game or get rid of negativity, anything like that. And I've got it, and it's sitting there for years, and I just don't. And I have all these tools, and I've just become a master of all these different tools. You want a weighted blanket? I've got a 20-pound weighted blanket. You want essential oils? I'm a doTERRA essential oil master. Like, literally, I could, and I'm obsessed, like, and then I don't stop obsessing over, like, I obsessively research.
Right. What do you think drives that?
It's this anxiety that I have to do, and I'm an Aries. I'm just a natural, like, that's just my personality. I've just got a lot of this momentum, and it's a gift and a curse. Impulsivity. It's a gift because I can go out in there and talk to anyone, connect with anyone, or, like, travel the country as one of the very few female brokers that are in my industry. And I'm in insurance as a broker for high commercial properties that are very high risk. And it's a very male dominated field. And I feel very empowered in this role because, typically it's a very draconian, masculine type of industry where people are in their ego 100%. How big your book of business is, how much you're worth, and how much power you have. And so I want to show people what it looks like to communicate with people in a compassionate way, in a way that builds trust and relationships, instead of a space of what can I get from you? I'm demanding from you, I need this now, and I'm going to force you to give it to me. And so especially as a female in this role, I feel like I have and I travel the country and talk, meet with all different peoples of different ages and backgrounds. And I'm able to influence people in a very in a grand scale in a positive way. And people always ask me, like, oh, why aren't you doing music full time or blah, blah. And I say, because this is an industry that desperately needs a change in a positive way. And I feel very honored and empowered to be able to go out to business meetings and tell people about downloading, an Insight Timer app, or have you tried this type of breath work? Like, who else is going to do that if not for me?
So there's a lot in there.
Yeah, there is.
The first thing I kind of wanted that caught me was saying your greatest gift was your greatest hardship, really, because, and without you, you're kind of a guide in that field of, helping people with that disorder you had. So without the hardship, there is no learning, there is no growth. And I think a lot of people get dismayed and like they get caught up in like, I'm not good enough, because I can't overcome this thing that's happening to me. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but you said it's your greatest gift.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my ability to feel so strongly, there was a one time that I'll talk about me and Moshe, where he came over to my house and he wanted to tell me, I didn't know this at the time, but he came into my house and all of a sudden I felt this overwhelming sense of like such sadness that I could cry. And like, I didn't even know, it didn't feel like it was coming from me, and I didn't know why I was feeling that way. And he noticed that I was feeling kind of sad. I'm like, and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know. All of a sudden I just feel this overwhelming sense of sadness, and I feel like I could cry, but at the same time, I don't even feel like it's mine.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God. He's like, I actually wanted to talk to you about something that, was upsetting to me, and I was wondering if you would pick, like, he wasn't acting any differently towards me.
Yeah.
He was still being loving and, whatnot. And, he didn't have, you wouldn't be able to tell that there was anything wrong with him, but yet energetically I picked it up.
He's got a good poker face.
And so, it just, even just confirmed even then. And when my mom was going through cancer, I decided to learn Reiki, because I felt like that was the only thing I could do, because I don't know how to just sit there and not do anything.
And you like to be doing.
I like to be doing things. So I decided to learn how to do Reiki, and that really brought me a lot closer to my mom and healed both of us in very much in a transformational way for both of us. And I knew that she was cancer free when I could feel that there were no more energetic blocks in her body. And then a week later, she went and got her appointment, and they said that she was in remission. But I knew before the doctor knew. And that was really powerful for me. So, my ability to feel so strongly is a gift, and yet it's a curse, because
you feel everything.
If I don't protect myself,
yeah.
If I don't have balance in my life, if I'm constantly doing things for other people and I'm not doing enough for myself, I feel drained. I'm more inclined to binge and purge. And anxiety is something, I always believe that this is the case. Whatever you struggle with is something that you're supposed to teach the world. And for me, it's been anxiety. That's my journey. And so I feel a lot of anxiety, with, like we were talking about the last episode about worry and unnecessarily worrying and, am I enough? Am I doing enough? How am I going to know when? And the do. And I'm really good at doing, but my journey is also, you have to also be still and allow your feelings to come through. Because what happened for me is I would feel so strongly in a negative way, like whether it's sadness or grief or depression, whatever it was, and then I would binge and purge. So I would never actually feel, I would almost numb myself out. And it was my coping mechanism. And this is the interesting part of it, is that I used to think that I had a lot more masculine type of energy than feminine energy, but in fact, it's really more of the opposite way around now that I think about it, because binging and purging is actually a coping mechanism for self-soothing. We're all trying to soothe ourselves, right? That's what we're all trying to do. We just want to soothe ourselves, comfort ourselves, and which is a very feminine energy type of way of living your life. And I just was implementing an incorrect type of programming that I had been programmed from, such a long time. As you practice it, you have those neural pathways that are traveled time and time again, that it wouldn't make sense for your brain to go any other way. And so the key for me is delaying instant gratification, not answering my phone when it's just sitting there, and it's beeping. It's like, it's anxiety, when I get a work call, it's like I have to answer it immediately.
Right.
Or I have to answer a friend's texting me, I have to answer it immediately. And when I had a psychedelic experience that I had one time was I'd shut off my phone for an entire day on my birthday. And I went to the forest and I had a wonderful experience, and I got back and I turned my phone back on, and I had so many messages from between like my work stuff that was urgent messages and voicemails, and then friends trying to reach me because it was my birthday, and like all these different things. And I just cried. I was like, I felt so overwhelmed.
Right.
And when I feel overwhelmed and I feel anxious, those are my triggers. And sometimes meditation's not enough for me. Sometimes thinking happy thoughts is not enough for me. So figuring out what works for you could be different at any point in your life. And I'm all about figuring out which tools work for you at the right time.
Right. I also have had a lot of anxiety in my past, and I used to, my thing was taking a bunch of Adderall and like going to town with porn. Like I had like a weird relationship with that for a while. And I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I was doing the same thing. And I would always run to that thing because I was so upset with myself, and I would always get anxious around people or whatever it would be. I kind of forgot where I was going with this. I don't know. You want to say something?
Tools. Something about tools, I think.
Well, figuring out what
it.
works for you, because
Yeah.
breathwork is very powerful stuff. I've done the higher brain stuff where you switch your energy from your lower brain to your higher brain.
Yeah.
I've done like visualization techniques. I've done all sorts of different sort of techniques to get you into alignment. I like a lot of like Abraham Hicks and
Law of attraction.
law of attraction stuff, but people don't really understand that you can't get from here to here. You can't get from depression to joy.
So
You have to reach for the next best feeling thought.
I think what most people struggle with is like, how do you say I'm enough right now? And really, it's just saying it. But how do you sit with yourself and be like, it's okay? Like we're like.
Here's the problem with these people going towards affirmations that they want is that the affirmations don't resonate with their subconscious mind quite yet, and so actually it could be quite harmful if you say, if you look in the mirror and you're like, I am beautiful. It's like, if you really don't believe that, your subconscious mind's gonna be like, no, I'm not. But if you're like, I'm getting better every day, I think that's a suggestion, an affirmation that your subconscious mind at this present time can accept. And as you grow and as you practice, you will change your affirmations. And I try to, what I do with my clients is I try to give you a roadmap. And so once you're in your
Is this in hypnotherapy or?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's in just daily life. I like to, you first get, and this is what I do for myself, is how I get myself centered and in alignment, and how my manifestations, are created, is that first I get into a space of, gratitude. I get into my heart center and I visualize like everything and everyone that I love, all the moments of my life that have brought me the most pride and joy. And I well that up and I listen to really good music, and I'm in my car and, and just feeling grateful, and I well it up and I well it up and I well it up. And then at that moment, I know, my subconscious mind is receptive to suggestions.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I started doing kickboxing to release, and like that was my mechanism
Movement.
for release. Yeah.
Yeah. Dancing for me is number one. Dancing and creativity are my keys as my most helpful tools for releasing the anxiety and the overwhelmment. Because I'm such a physical, being an empath is very physical. So I'm a very kinesthetic person. You can be auditory, kinesthetic, or visual, right? For the most part, sometimes you're all three. I'm very kinesthetic, so very feeling oriented. And you can tell when you talk to somebody if they're like, Moshe is very much, I see. Like he'll answer me, I see. But I'd be like, I feel ya. You know what I mean? So he's more, visual, and I'm more kinesthetic. And so because of the way you see the world, depends on how your mechanism for healing your issue is going to happen. So for me, I can't solve bulimia with my head.
Right.
I've tried years of therapy, never worked. But I can heal it through breath work, through dancing, through I have to do, because I'm a kinesthetic person and that's how I perceive the world the best. I can't solve an issue that's a physical, bulimia is very much a physical thing. I'm doing something physical. So I could drink water. That's a physical thing, right? So replacing whatever issue that habit is with a mechanism that relates to how you perceive the world, is going to be the most effective for you. And that's the most important thing.
How do you think people can go about finding out how they perceive the world? Like you said, I usually say I understand, and I read a lot of books. So I think I can read the words and then I can kind of integrate it. I don't know. That's mine. But like, how do you think people go about like figuring out what type of clairvoyant or whatever it is, clairaudient?
Well, for example, a lot of people find music to be, just like the singing bowls are really great for me, because not only is the sound also creates in my body, I could feel it in my body energetically, the sound. So you might use a combination of all different things. So you might be, doing breath work while you're listening to something, while you're seeing maybe that you're seeing affirmations on a, or you're writing affirmations down, like physically writing them, and then you're seeing it, and then you're saying it. So if you can see it, say it, and hear it, and you practice that every single day, there's no way there's a momentum towards when you're doing positive things for yourself. Energy can't be destroyed; it can only be transferred, right? So if you keep on putting that, no energy ever goes wasted. So if you can keep on putting energy towards bettering yourself, per the law of the universe, there's no possible feasible way that it can't work out for you. So as long as you don't give up and you keep trying, there's times when I'm like, I'm so tired of struggling against myself. How many tools do I need? Like, how many times do I need to meditate? It just becomes exhausting, right? And I think even just us just talking about this is people need to know that they're not alone in feeling like, what's wrong with me? Why am I still struggling? It's,
I think it's our perfectionist culture, right? Like, to some degree.
And other people's influences.
Yeah, they put these images out there of like, this is what you're supposed to be, and if you're not that thing, then you're wrong.
Well, we harbor on like the parts of ourselves that are not where what we want them to be, instead of all the amazing ways in which we're
all unique,
succeeding and transforming the world in positive ways and influencing others. And so for me, it's it's still my journey.
Yeah, the journey never really ends.
No, but I've learned for myself that I have to take things slower, because the anxiety is also very a fast type of thought process, right? So, and Moshe really balances me out very well, because I'm kind of like,
I can see it.
It's kind of like the water and the fire, and it's very helpful for both of us, because I kind of like spark that passion for him, and he kind of like soothes and calms me down and slows me down. So it's very helpful. It's a very yin yang type of experience that we have, and I'm very grateful for it. And and it's been transformational for me for sure. Having constant love, in all that love that he's shown me, and accepting me, where I'm at, and for all the parts of myself. It's definitely a gift.
You were talking about all the tools that you've been acquiring and stuff. I acquire books, and I don't read half of them.
Yeah, I love books too.
Do you find yourself acquiring tools and using them once and be like, I have this?
Yeah, I have my brain tap. I can't tell you how many different musical tools I have too. I mean, ridiculous amounts. I've got so many different types of books. I've got essential oils. I took a tea class on how to make my own infusions, and and then I got obsessed, and I bought all these huge 1 pound bag of different yarrow and slippery elm, and it's been sitting in my cabinet for 2 years.
Why do you think we do this? I see a book and I'm like, oh, this would be
it's
good
like, this is going to be the thing that heals me. This is going to be the thing. And this is the thing, is that you have to use a combination sometimes. That's where you trust your intuition. And I also learned, as far as food goes, if you're craving something crunchy, you might be angry or frustrated. Or if you're craving something comforting, like maybe you're just needing comfort, clearly, or, something sweet, maybe you're needing to be kinder to yourself. It all correlates to, food as the mother, food for me, it's been a really difficult journey, because I used to have a terrible relationship with my mother, and I had a terrible relationship with food. So it was like a double whammy. And even from when I was a young age, my mom learned potty trained me by giving me M&Ms. So from a young age, when I was a baby, I was projectile vomiting. Like literally, I couldn't like digest, I guess, the milk. And so I feel like this has been like, I came into this life with this chosen journey. And honestly, it's propelled my level of consciousness to such that, I really feel like I can serve a lot of people for a lot longer time because of how young I had to deal with I've been in jail. I've been, had jobless. I've been homeless. It's given me a sense of humility and understanding and a willingness to, be with people and
hear them
and know that everyone has, it makes me really feel appreciative for how resilient people are. And it really the stories that I hear, especially when I'm out with clients and they, in a business setting, they want to talk about their DMT experience someone that they would, their spirit experiences, Native Americans that are living in their, underneath their house, and they would never tell that to anyone.
Right.
Or like real masculine men that that are interested in crystals, and where do I get them? And so I love to be that, like, my company calls me like the office shaman. And I have like crystals in my office, and I have these glasses that you put them on and you see hearts around every single light.
Yeah.
And I have a Christmas tree up year round because I grew up Jewish and I never had one, and I was gifted one, and I was like, well, this is my time. And so my time is forever now.
I was going to ask how y'all met.
Well, interestingly enough, we first met a few times at 5 Rhythms dance class, which is something I'm very passionate about. And it's supposed to represent your life cycle. It's starts with flowing, and then it goes to staccato, and then chaos, and then lyrical, and then stillness. And it's a 2-hour class that are 2 waves.
Is that in Atlanta?
Yes, it's in Atlanta. It's all across the country. It's called 5 Rhythms.
It's just free form. You can dance however you want.
Yes.
I like that.
Everybody just dances however they
The
like.
music moves you kind of thing?
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yes. And
I recommend it for everybody.
yeah, I love it.
I did Dawn yoga for a second, and they had the same kind of concept, and I'd never danced without rules before, to where like the music literally just like kind of moves your body, like a certain rhythm comes up, and like it tells you how to move in a way. It's like using your intuition but through music. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I love to dance. It's one of my favorite things
Cathartic.
to do. Yeah. So we had interacted. We know, I guess, some of the same people in the same kind of spiritual community, and like we had shared a moment where our eyes connected, and we were just dancing really weird and silly, and so, but we didn't.
And she
really
left before I could even say hi to her, and so we didn't actually like legitimately meet that time.
Did your anxiety say he won't like me? I'm just kidding. But
No. In fact, it took a really long time for me to be convinced that I wanted him as a partner romantically. So then we met again. His first Alive in the Wild is actually where we really, first met. So it was pretty divine.
Yeah, it was a retreat weekend. We had about 30 people out there, and Marisa was just near me at the dock, and we decided to go take the boat out, and that's where I met her. And
he said he liked that we were spontaneous. That whenever you feel like you want to do something, you're intuitively, you're like, ooh, I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. Like, ooh, that looks fun.
Right.
Let's do it. And a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to take the boat. I don't even know whose boat that. We were just like, let's do it, and we did it. And so, and I by the way, I was also part of Psy Atlanta, his meetup group for many, like, since he started it, I was part of it, but I'd never gone to any meetings.
That happened to me for a while.
So we had been kind of like destined to meet, and for a while, like I really just thought of him as just my best friend. Like, he just got me, and we just connected so much, and and I was so resistant to the idea of us being more than just best friends, and there was a lot of transformation for me in my own perfectionist ways, and it really was just a reflection of the parts of myself that I needed to heal, and once I really healed that, I was able to allow myself to think of him in a different way, and now it's just like I can't even imagine anyone being more right for me.
Yeah,
I'm so blessed.
like I said, y'all seem like one unit.
Yeah, we feel like we are. We're very connected, and we never take each other for granted, and we feel like we have a shared mission here,
Yeah.
and shared values, and many, and our life is like a hilarious musical, and and we go through some really intense experiences together too. And I trust Moshe with my life, and he's really led me through a lot of very deep psychedelic experiences that have profoundly transformed my life and his as well. And so I'm very grateful for that too.
Cool.
I'm grateful too. A lot.
You guys are neat. I forgot what I was gonna say. Do you have anything right now?
But if I could, I guess give anyone suggestions.
I was gonna ask. Y'all seem to mesh really well, and I don't know if it's always that case, but I think a lot of people in relationships today, especially with like cell phones and whatever it is, when you're like not actually present with each other, you get a different narrative going in each other's heads, and then those narratives end up clashing to some degree. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. One thing we can probably both tell you is that when we're together, we're like 100% always present.
Yeah.
Almost always. And that's not something I could tell you about everybody that I interact with. But when I'm with him, I forget about everything else, and I'm just focused on him.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and it really raises both of our vibrations.
Yeah.
Like, and we were talking about the other day that we just feel like physically stronger, like our immune systems are like better, and physically we feel like we find each other even more attractive, like physically. We feel like our structures.
Because you're present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've just through presence and through deep love and appreciation, and deep friendship, soul love.
Yeah.
That it's been healing our bodies and our minds.
That's what McKenna was saying. He was like, "That's where the love is. It's right here. It's in the now."
And deep trust too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing actually. She brought up the topic of becoming more attractive, and this is something that we'd been talking about, where it's just amazing to me that just changing the way that you carry yourself, and the way that you speak, and the way that your face, your facial expressions, and the way you think about yourself, all of these things can completely change the way that you look. Even if your physical body is the same body, it can be completely differently perceived by other people based on how you are managing your body. And you don't even have to get plastic surgery. You don't have to do that kind of stuff. It's just being present. It makes you so much more attractive.
Because you're not throwing something else over the picture that's in your head, because I used to tell myself I was, I don't know, not unattractive, but just like girls wouldn't like me for whatever reason, and like that kind of stuff. When I say it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I'm not confident, I'm not courageous, I'm scared all the time, I'm all that kind of stuff. And I was just leading myself to my own fate when I say that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trusting yourself to be the best version of yourself, and just know that you're enough.
Yeah.
Yep. He reminds me.
Self-love is, for some reason, self-love's the hardest one.
Yeah.
The hardest hurdle.
It is. And what does that really mean? What is it? What is the most loving thought you can have in any moment? And when you're struggling, to ask yourself, what would someone who loves themselves do?
Yeah. When sometimes I've had some really, I guess, not profound, but like meditations where I end up crying a lot, because I literally step outside of myself and I say, okay, how does Trey feel? And I would see how I actually felt. And, sometimes it's not great. And if I'm in my body and I'm not outside of myself, it's hard to see how I actually feel for some reason. But if I can see myself as like an inner child or whatever it is, how I would see another person, if I see another person struggling, I want to lend out the helping hand and like tell them it's okay. Like, you're human, like whatever, it's fine, it's fine. But it's really hard to say it to yourself unless you can. For me, again, I visualize myself outside of myself and I hug myself, and that tends to work for me, and to be okay with it.
Yeah. My journey is also understanding and being more in my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just an incredible journey, and it's the challenges that define our character. And yeah, like I said, I'm always just incredibly humbled by people's resilience and perseverance and the things that people have gone through. And I just really want people, honestly, to know that they're not alone.
Right.
I really feel like I have a very strong desire to make sure people know that they're not alone.
When I stay in this basement too long, I do feel alone. It gets to me. Even, you know, I think everybody, on a side note, I think everybody has a book in them to write about their life and about what they've learned, because everybody's here on a journey to do something. They have something to accomplish that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, you know?
Yeah. And I also want to empower people that you can be, you know, artistic and spiritual and still also be in a corporate setting too, because people think that they have to quit their 9-to-5 job in order to do, you know, be happy or do something like, you know, that fulfills them. But I would tell you, I'm a prime example of someone that is doing it all, and I've learned how to do it all by I write raps to underwriters about accounts that we bind, and they eat that shit up. And then I write songs about, you know, insurance. I used to leave it as my voicemail. I'd be, send me your business and I'll bind it today. People would like, you know, it's like you could do that. You can,
great.
You know, I share empowering things with people when I meet with them, you know, when I travel the country, and I share, we do like almost like, I give them little tips on how they can manage their stress, because in my industry, it's very much fast paced, and where's it now, and I need it now, and a lot of demands. And so this industry is perfect for me, because this is what my journey is this anxiety, these expectations, these, is it enough? Am I doing enough? You know, and so what better industry than this one for me? And yet I can also incorporate, you know, I can sing and play guitar at a work event, or, you know, you can find ways to incorporate all the parts of yourself that, you know, and your passions into whatever you're doing. And that is what makes you successful.
So how did that artsy part come out in your corporate job? Were people hesitant, or were you hesitant at first?
Like for a while, like I mean, I have some purple in my hair, and I have, you know, a few tattoos, and I definitely am kind of march my own beat, and definitely a weirdo for sure. And and like Moshe says, like,
one of the best parts about you.
Yeah,
I think
you just own it, you know.
Yeah.
And I like to write really like stupid, ridiculous, like really inappropriate songs. I have a lot of songs about poop and and just like really funny, like ridiculous things. And usually I write extremely catchy, melodic hooks, and then you've got this really inappropriate song in your head all day. And
oh my God.
Were you hesitant when you first started of bringing that side of it out?
It took me a while to, I was an associate broker for a while. And then when I became a broker, at a different company, I was really scared. I was like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to do this. Like, there's no manual. They just give you a phone book, a phone and a computer, and you just have to start calling and developing relationships. And so all the book of business I've developed over the years and relationships with agents all over the country, like, they were all cold calls. And I've developed, so I'm really an entrepreneur, in many ways, and kind of, you know, as a wholesaler, there's so much competition. There's so many wholesalers out there as far as commercial property that I do. And, if you're not unique or stand out, or, you know, if everyone, all the same Joe Smith says the same thing. It's like, oh, I can do this better, and I can get a cheaper price, and blah, blah. Well, you know, it all comes down to relationships with your underwriters too, because if they like you, then they're going to do a special favor for you. But you can't force somebody to do something for you. So it's a matter of, you know, something that's really been helpful for me that me and Moshe love to do is go to nonviolent communication group meetings. Okay. And it teaches you how to come from a space of understanding someone's needs rather than defending or demanding or judging.
Right.
So you can come from a space of, like, for example, I had a friend that she really needed some personal space. And I called her like 4 different times. I was really in a space of needing to talk to her. And she just wouldn't call me back. And when I finally got a hold of her, she was like, she was really upset and angry at me. And she was like, I just need to have my own time. Like, I've been like bombarded by all these people, by work, by blah, blah, blah. And I just need this one day I need to myself. And of course, that one day was when I called her a few times. And so, and I was like, why? I took it personally. I'm like, why doesn't she want to talk to me?
Right.
Blah, blah. And so it was, then once I understood what she was feeling, she was like, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that you, like, how badly you needed, like, your personal space, like, for that one day. Like, had I known that, I wouldn't have pressed you. You know what I mean? And here I was getting all, like, upset, thinking I was doing something wrong, or why doesn't she want to talk to me? And, I need her and she's not here for me. And so, coming from a space of understanding where that person's coming from and what needs they had to have met, and what needs your need to be met, and how can we meet each other's needs,
Right.
In a way that's a win-win. And they say by using these techniques in non-NVC that you can communicate with anybody and resolve your issues within 20 minutes.
Do you just jump into the other person's shoes and start trying to feel what they're feeling so you can understand it, as opposed to taking it personally?
So first, you kind of want to always look at your life from, like, an outsider perspective, and that also has to do with slowing down. So for me, I also, cannabis has been very helpful for me for that.
Yeah.
As a person that has a lot of
Yeah. It slows
anxiety.
down.
Yeah, so it slows me down so that I can become the outsider and not just make rash, impulsive reactions, but actually be like, okay, let me think about the way that I'm going to say this, before I just say it. So, so the first thing to do is observe the situation. And then there's so many different feelings and needs that we have, like, a whole pamphlet of. I keep this at my desk at work too, by the way.
I'm asking because I'm genuinely curious about
yeah,
this.
yeah. And so basically, there's the observation of the situation, right? And then what you're feeling about it, and what need is not being met for you, and then also thinking about what they could be feeling and what need that they're trying to get met, and how can we create a resolution around understanding and meeting one another's needs, instead of being like, you purposely did that to me, and it was,
Is that like a power struggle when we do it like that? It's like, who?
We learn this when we're young about, like,
Yeah.
I feel this when you blah blah blah, and, like, no one really talks that way, right?
No.
It's kind of like, but it is a language. It is a language. And honestly, it's really funny because when I talk to him, Moshe, I find myself using our language, our NVC words. So, like, I was really upset a while ago about a work situation, and I was like, I'm feeling my need for consistency is not being met. And, like, I'm talking about this, and I had coworkers, like, around me, and they're like, what is she, like, how, what kind of language is she, like, when she's talking like a weird, like a robot. Yeah. It's like, but it was helpful for me to define what it is that I was feeling, and what need it was that it was being met.
I need to do that.
And it really helps you understand yourself and others better. It's like, oh, my need for, he has a need for efficiency. So
Definitely.
So he has need for efficiency, and I honestly I'm a more creative. We both use probably much different sides of our brains. I'm more creative, abstract. He's more rational, logical. Like, he helped me organize my house in ways that I could never imagine I could ever do, and so he's really helped me transform my life in ways that I never was really able to do myself, because he balances me out in those ways. But for thinking outside the box and creatively, and being silly and weird and all that, it's really helpful. But I also need the structure and the, it's like
we need both.
It's like, why are you doing it that way when there's a more efficient way to do it? And because my mind just wouldn't think that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing, is we're all thinking different ways, and we may not understand each other. There's so much miscommunication and misunderstandings, and almost everything every issue you have with somebody else is a misunderstanding, miscommunication. And this technique really mitigates that.
Yeah, miscommunication is the source of pretty
Everything.
much all societal problems.
That's in the last chapter of my first book I read. But I was like, I think everything that's wrong in the world is just a result of misunderstandings and miscommunications, because we don't know how to honestly talk with each other,
right?
Because we're so afraid of being vulnerable,
and this actually reminds me. Your story reminded me of the 4 agreements, which
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Both Don Miguel Ruiz. Oh yeah, he came up the other day, and I wondered what I knew from him. But yeah, good guy. But the 4 agreements in that story, the two that would have helped, the two that came up in that story were don't take things personally and don't make assumptions.
Which
Yeah.
are the hardest ones for
And
me.
and then there's also always do your best and be impeccable with your word. And I think if we can all live by those agreements,
That's
we
good.
will transform
Yeah.
the world.
Toltec wisdom. So
With
Yeah.
my family, I make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, I mean, so like this is all interesting to you because I've been thinking about this, and the way I approach things differently now recently is like a lot of people will get angry at someone, and they'll go off and just say they did that to, because make me angry, and I sit back and I'm just like, honestly, do they really? I feel like people aren't out there to make people angry, out there to really
No, of
make you
course
angry.
not.
Like let's sit back and really think about like what were they thinking when they wanted to do
Right.
that. And then that's how I've been approaching like arguments and stuff is let me just hold on for a second,
Seek to understand.
seek to
Yes.
understand where they're coming from, and not just get all angry and think that person did that to really make me angry or really piss someone
Right.
off. Like
yeah.
And you can create a narrative in your head that is that, and then it will become your story, and you'll get involved in it, and then shit gets out of control.
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know?
He's really helped me a lot with the communication thing because I'm so emotionally like I feel things so strongly, like I said, and he's probably more like intellectual, rational when it comes to that stuff. So, if I ever like, there's really no fighting with us. He's just like, I want to understand why you're angry.
Right.
yeah,
And I'm just like, he won't get angry at me.
I don't want to fight.
That's hilarious. I know that feeling too when you're like trying to like trigger someone, like not intentionally, but like there's some like subconscious thing. It's like I want to trigger them right now to spark this anger or whatever it is.
So you're feeling the same thing I am.
Yeah, or to just be like, do you feel? Like that kind of. I don't know if it's that
Yeah.
way, but.
But now
No.
we both kind of operate in that way of I'm definitely more, now we come from a space of just understand. We love each other so deeply that we know for sure that we would never do anything intentionally to hurt one another. So we just want to understand
Mhm.
where, like, what did you mean when you said this? Because this is what I felt when you said that, and I'm pretty sure that I want to understand. I just want to understand.
And the thing is that it's not just us who aren't intentionally wanting to hurt each other. It's everybody. And
Yeah.
so if we can all seek to understand before
Right.
jumping to conclusions.
I wonder what the world would be like if we all just sought to understand each other.
I
as
feel like my
opposed to
mission is
judging.
just I'm obsessed with the, like, understanding is a truth seeker,
Yeah.
a light worker, a healer, a empowerer, and how can we be the light that we are? Embodiment
Yeah.
of the love.
I think we get a lot more done.
Yeah. Instead of just quibbling over petty little things that don't really matter most of the time. Holding a grudge or holding resentment when it's work. It's work to hold resentment and grudges towards people. It's a lot of energy, and it's not worth it most of the time
Yeah.
to be stubborn about it.
That's why, honestly, I stay out of politics these days because it angers me the fact that government and politics, it's all just one argument, one big argument,
Yeah, we don't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
I don't even.
and
I
no
don't
one
watch-
really
I don't watch
seeks
TV.
to
I
understand,
don't either.
Yeah.
right?
No, it's just yelling at each
Yeah.
other, and it's like I'm right. No, I'm right.
Right, yeah.
But like, what do you get when you're right? What does that do for you?
Exactly. Well, it's done nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
everyone's right. Everyone's truth is their
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
And
But convincing other people, like
that. Yeah.
You can. One thing that I've learned in life is that you can always prove yourself right or prove somebody else wrong. No matter what your position is, there can always be an argument that you can have and you can always, there's always something you can believe to believe that you're right. And so arguments trying to convince somebody else that you're right and they're wrong are basically a waste of time.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're spot on.
100%.
It's-
I think this all started with nonviolent communication. You said you started doing this at work or something?
Yeah, I started doing this at work when I would, somebody would get upset with me that, or an underwriter would promise me something and then go back on their word. And, I could have just, any other broker would be, almost like bullying them, be like, how could you, come from it as in a more demanding and negative way. And I would sit there and I'd be like, okay, let me see what needs are that this person's are needing to be met. And I would address it, be like, I see, I can understand. I'm sorry. I apologize. It seems that we are misunderstanding or miscommunicating each other. I would really love to understand, what it is that you're needing in the situation better. So if you want, let's get on the phone and have a conversation about it. And within a minute or of an email like that, you get you get what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You can, so the more that I practice that, it just, even dealing with angry agents that are upset with, say, a renewal price, and they're frustrated and they're like, how am I going to explain that to my client? And so it'd be like, sometimes people just have a need to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's been a little bit of a journey for me as well, because I want to just offer suggestions. I have a really bad habit of offering unsolicited advice.
Me too.
And I'm like, no, you know what you should do? You should do. I'm like,
Did they
and so now I've gotten myself more in the habit of saying, would you like a suggestion? Because that is something that I'm conscious about. And yeah. And
before even offering the suggestion, saying, I hear you.
I hear
understand.
you. Yeah. I understand. I understand you're feeling so frustrated. And I really understand.
There is something about being just listened to,
Being
as
heard.
opposed to, we've talked about this, other people just waiting to talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big problem today.
Hmm.
I even sometimes on this podcast, I'll hear somebody say something, and I'll be like, okay, I gotta wait to talk about this. And I watch it happen. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
Yeah, I watch it happening with myself too, like earlier in the other one.
Yeah.
podcast. So yeah, that's still, as long as we're conscious about it and we're
yeah,
yeah, because people will always say things that you're like, if you're not anticipating what you need to say next, like you might actually learn something, or sometimes it's the way that someone says something that really clicks for you, and you may miss out on that if you're thinking about what you need to say next.
I want to keep talking a little bit about corporate culture because we don't really get to talk about this very much on here. I think I remembered in the integration circle, you mentioned you were like giving crystals to people in the office and they're starting to use them.
I've changed my entire work environment. In fact, my boss, I have this thing that I celebrate Green Thursday.
Yeah.
It's every Thursday, and I wear green, and it's like my lucky, happy day of the week.
Heart.
I've been doing it since I was 12 years old, and I've never missed a Thursday. I've always worn green. And I worked at my current company for about 3.5 years. And, the first couple times, like, I kind of mentioned it, like, this is my happy day. Like, and then the binders would, my accounts would start coming in, like, by, a lot of them on Thursdays. And, and amazing things would start happening. I just created this kind of culture, and I would go around and like slyly, oh, happy Green Thursday. And I can't wait for tell me I can't wait to hear about all the amazing things that happened for you today. And like, I would just implant those like subconscious things. Like, I would get on the elevator to total stranger and be like, you're going to have an amazing day. I can't wait to hear about it. And like total strangers.
And I'm sure they're like,
what?
What?
So, I just do little like social experiments like that, because as you can influence people in a negative way, you can naturally influence them in a positive way. And so I believe that I'm in this industry, in this sort of environment, because I have a great ability to impact others and connect with others deeply. And so I had this thing, I do Green Thursday. And so now my boss will come up to me on like Wednesday and be like, tomorrow's Green Thursday. He's like, are you feeling it? I'm like, oh, you bet I feel it.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, I've gotten people around my office, wearing green, like they're just like, oh, I didn't even mean to. It's like, your subconscious mind knows.
Could when you started doing this stuff, could you have ever imagined everyone just kind of getting on board with it? Or does
Well,
that
no,
surprise
I've
you?
had it work for other companies where they just thought it was fucking weird.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which I am,
What?
but it made me feel like I didn't feel accepted. My boss is like, will text me, be like, I hope you're having a wonderful day, like happy Green Thursday. Like, he's all on board with, he'll come into my office and he'll look at, he's like, there's always something new in your office, whether it's, crystals, or it's like my essential oil diffusers, or my tuning forks I brought into the office one time, or, the Christmas tree that's up in my office, or all the different types of paintings and artwork and things that I've got like everywhere.
All the cat stickers.
All the cat. I've put a cat sticker on every single person's computer in my office in a obscure corner, and it's just like, it's they're all different cat colors and stuff, and like I've gotten I give people crystals when I get to know them really well, and I know no one has the same crystal in my office,
Right.
And I don't just give crystals like right away. I have to know them for like a year or two, and then they might. And I'll never tell you when you're going to get one, but you will get one at some point. And so, I've given one to my brand new guy that we just hired, and I gave him a tiger's eye,
Yeah.
And he's a brand new broker, so he's making a lot of making a lot of calls and just starting to try to build his book up. And he says that it's helped him so much that he just holds it and like rolls it around in his fingers. And he says he feels like really supported, and he's like, he really appreciated it. And like my assistant, I gave him, 2 different types of crystals, and very unique ones too. And he keeps them on his desk. And, it makes me, I talk to people in the break room. Coworkers will come up to me and they're like, so, they want to talk to me about like aliens, and like, they're like, it's like, what is your thoughts on, I was watching the show the other day about like, the pyramids, and, they're talking about like, ETs, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, great. Yeah. Tell me all about it. Like what, like the Pleiadians, like, what are you talking? They're like, yeah. And they're talking about this RH blood type. And like, I feel like I'm the person that people want to, like, I'm someone that people feel they can talk to about the things that they can't really talk to
I
about
think
anyone
it's
else.
just like society tells you what's okay to talk about and what's not okay to talk about, and then you find somebody that's open to everything.
Yeah.
It's nice. And
But you have to be brave enough to do it.
Right.
At my company dinner just this Friday, I actually started talking about psychedelics.
Yeah.
And that even surprised me. I didn't tell you that, Moshe. I started talking about it with my coworkers, and my boss is there and everything. And I was like, I feel very strongly about how this is the work and how it transforms our lives, and how I was doing this ayahuasca journey in December with Alive in the Wild, which is Moshe's group. And it's December 23rd to the 28th, I think.
So the Winter Souls.
That's
Yes.
nice.
So it's going to be really powerful. 5 nights, 6 days, I believe. And it's led by a professional shaman, and an eco hotel, and safe environment. And I've experimented with DMT before, but I'd never done ayahuasca, and had magical experiences with that. But I was telling them, my coworkers, about how I was doing this in December, and it was like a shamanic. It wasn't just a vacation. It was like a shamanic journey of transformation and work. And they were like, really, I didn't seem like they were judging me at all, or they were just being like, oh, they're like,
That's because you owned it.
yeah. And that's the transformation that we can make in our corporate environments, is like having these conversations.
Or just, I used to think I hated my job, but I actually learned a lot from my job, and John's like kind of brought my attention to that. There's always learning going on. You find out what you like and what you don't like. The part about my job I didn't like is that nobody really talked to each other, and everybody's just on their computers in their own little world, and they wouldn't communicate, and everyone's getting mad at each other for deadlines not being met or whatever it is. And it would be amazing if we could do this nonviolent way of communication, or just people could be like, let's just be people. We don't have to put on this work persona and be this perfect work person. We can just be a person. And I think, not that I hate corporate America, but I think it would go a lot better in those realms if we could all just be who we are and not have to worry about what people are going to say about us. Yeah. As long as you get the work done, you do a good job, you can be you, And
that's a great point. My assistant, Daniel, he has a whole bunch of tattoos on his arm.
Yeah.
And I have a tattoo on my wrist, and I have a tattoo in my ear, and behind my ear. And I feel like because of how authentic I've been at my work, and he's been working at our company almost as long as I have. And just recently, he got up the courage to ask if he didn't have to wear long sleeve shirts, that he could wear short sleeve shirts when people weren't coming into the office, if he could just be his self. And they said yes. And so I feel like I've given him permission to be himself by me being myself, and that makes me feel really happy.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know someone that I work with that has tattoos on both arms all the way down sleeves, and I've never seen him wear a short sleeve shirt, and that's the reason why. And it's just sad that because of that, he can't be himself.
Yeah, my dad didn't. My parents don't. My dad didn't approve of clearly of my, it's not professional to have a tattoo or to have all piercings and, or have your hair. What does your boss think of your purple hair? I'm like, he loves my hair.
Right.
I get these fairy hairs that sparkle like in Asheville, and like people love it.
When you own something, it makes you bulletproof and invincible. And then other people see that and they want that, and then they be like, maybe I can do that too. And then I think Marianne Williams or Webster.
Oh, I love her.
She was like, it is not right to limit yourself and not shine your light brightly, because other people will see you shining and they'll want to do it too.
I have a song with that quote in it. I love that quote.
I don't know the full quote verbatim, but
our
greatest fear is that we are
powerful enough beyond
not
measure.
That we are inadequate, but we are powerful beyond measure.
Yeah, and it's basically don't dim your light because you're afraid of making someone else feel
belittled or less.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm brave enough to do something doesn't mean they're gonna shrink. It means that, like you said, at your work, they're gonna want to come out, I think.
Yeah, I've been really inspired by Moshe actually to own, that's one of the biggest lessons for me is owning it. Like watching him do it inspires me and vice versa. So I feel like that's really helped me a lot in my journey.
We're getting close to closing time.
Thank you
but
so much.
what do you, I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff here, and just, I don't know what it's going to relate to, but what kind of message do you just want to leave everyone with that they can take with them for the rest of their day and carry it with them? Whatever it is. No pressure at all.
I think not be afraid to ask the universe for clear signs letting you know that you're supported, to ask for what you need, and to know that you're not alone, and that loving yourself looks very differently for each person, and enjoy the journey of figuring out what it is.
The journey, yeah. Each step up those stairs is a learning opportunity, and it's not the end goal that is the point. It's the every step along the way that is what matters.
And we're perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Life
great.
is a journey.
Cool beans. Do you want to plug anything?
Well, I would like to
Hypnotherapy, whatever it is.
I would like to wrap my
Oh yeah, let's
My
do
cat
that.
rap.
Ask, yeah.
No
So-
outro this time. We're gonna end on
no,
the rap.
so we're gonna end on this rap. So I'm also a singer-songwriter. I have an alter ego named Marion Skidley, and she's actually from Sheringham. She's British, but she's not gonna be rapping today. But Marisa is. So I wrote this rap about what my cats would say if they were drunk, and it's called Meowcaholic. And so I want to rap it to you.
This is gonna be good.
All right, here we go. Eyes glowing, fluff showing, I be roaming this cage. So shop with to swap my age. Only 7, but I got it strut like I'm gonna fuck your mama up. Style grinning, smiling with my teeth. Head so sleek, make you wanna sleep. Boy, pass me a beer, I got that sneer, sicker than Cheshire. I make it clear, I'm the only pussy that is yet to appear. The party starts when I get here. A twitch of the tail, a sniff of the nose. Said I'm feeling frisky, alpha male, yeah, I'm king of these bros. And I'm spending your dough, I can't and hoes. And all I wanna do is scratch up the couch, pee on this house, rough tongue in my mouth. You know what that's about. On the laptop, I sit and warm and smooth in the zone. 20 pounds, like even full grown. Yo, I'm bad to the bone. I smoke cigars, white Russians in my salsa. Ate a whole bag of iams. Yeah, bitch, it's gonna cost ya. Spitting rhymes like Jeffrey Chaucer. I stay meowcaholic.
That's fucking awesome.
And I'm Marisa Skolky. Thank you.
She's the bomb diggity. This episode's been fun. We were Free Minds. Again, we have a Patreon, Free-Minds, if you want to donate. $1, whatever it is. It's always appreciated. If you get value out of this, if this is helping you, and you want to give value back, we're super open to it. And we hope that everything that we talk about on this can help you be your own person and be you and live your life as your authentic self without fear. Just be you, be vulnerable, be free. Toodles.
Thank you.